Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. I don't know how many people we have on right now, but we're going to kick it off here with our TechCrunch Disrupt Hackathon webinar. I just want to say thanks to Devpost for putting this together, Richard. It's been super helpful, so thanks for that. Are you seeing anything? Okay. I just got
no,
it.
I got you.
You got it? Okay, great. So I just want to quickly go over a couple of housekeeping items before I pass it off to Richard, who's going to dive into the hackathon and what all it entails and kind of the best practices for being there. So we start the hackathon on Saturday, the 10 a.m. load-in for sponsors to come and set up. Then at about noon, we have noon to 12:30 registration opens, and we have the people coming in to sign up and start getting their teams together, getting their badges ready, things like that. At 1:30, we'll kick it off and start the lightning round where everybody will line up who is participating in the lightning round, and they have 30 seconds tops to give a really quick and dirty rundown of I'm Rob from Twilio. Here's what we do. Text these 3 numbers to get a full rundown of what we do, and that was it. And that's kind of a perfect thing for the lightning round. We will cut you off if it goes over, so don't be that guy. From 2 to 6, we have the API workshops in 30-minute intervals. The schedule for that will be announced, so if you are a workshop sponsor, you'll be getting your time slot shortly. 7 p.m. we have dinner. Midnight we have beer and pizza, and then the hackers go overnight into Sunday. 7 a.m. we'll have breakfast. 9:30 the hack wraps up, and that's when all the projects have to be submitted. At 10 a.m. we'll open the doors to the public, and we'll have people coming to watch the show start coming in at that point. And at 11 a.m. hackathon presentations will begin, hopefully wrapping up between 2:30. Really depends on how many final projects we have, but that's roughly the timeline there. And so from here, I will pass it over to Richard, who's been so kind to help us put this together. Richard?
Hey, Emma. Hi, everyone who's watching. Thanks very much for joining. We are involved in a lot of different hackathons at Devpost, but TechCrunch always holds a very special place in our hearts. So it's always really fun to be part of this. And definitely a big thing for us is helping everyone who's watching this be really successful in sponsoring the hackathon. So if you'll indulge me, I think what I'd like to do is just take a few minutes to review some of the things on the Devpost platform that you can do to get the most out of it during the event. And also like some of the things that we've definitely seen as best practices for sponsoring the hackathon and really making that work super well for kind of the event, for the hackers, and for your organization. So many of this stuff will be like not new, I think, to many of you, but I think it's always good to do a refresher. So let me share my screen here, and we'll get some slides going, and I'll give you a little run through of these things. Okay. Emma, just let me know if you're not seeing these slides, but I'm going to assume that we're all good here. So yeah, I'm Richard. I'm from Devpost. Why am I talking to you about hackathons? Well, primarily because I'm involved in a lot of different hackathons. I'm responsible for the in-person hackathon side of Devpost. So if you've been to a large hackathon in the last 2 years, you may have seen me there. We travel to a lot of these events, and we work with a lot of different organizers. So it gives us a really great position to see a lot of what people are doing at hackathons that is really successful. So all of the tips and tricks I'm going to kind of share with you here, they're not really mostly mine. They're mostly things I've observed great companies and great evangelists doing. So really just wanted to collect all that information here for you. So and just for everyone who's kind of maybe not familiar with a hackathon, I really like this photo because I think this shows that there's a kind of very precise chaos to hackathons that makes them really appealing environments. So it's really all about people kind of getting together. You see the tables are kind of full of bottles of sodas and water, but everywhere you look, people are building things, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff happening. And I think that's what makes these events particularly exciting and why we're also passionate about them. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover what to do prior to the hackathon, during the hackathon, after the hackathon, and we're going to look at it both in terms of things you should be doing on the Devpost platform and things you should also be thinking about doing off the platform to make sure you're well prepared. So let's get started. And by a brief introduction, Devpost, many of you may know us by our former name of ChallengePost. We changed our name to more accurately reflect our mission of, helping celebrate the developers around the world. So very much kind of welcome to us. We, if you don't know already, we power both in-person and online hackathons, and we've got a large community and always really excited to be part of your events. So that's a lot of fun, but let's get going. So pre-event, what should you be doing pre-event? A few different things you should be doing. And I'm going to show you a lot of this information based on the last Disrupt event that took place in New York. So if you're not familiar with our platform, this is what the homepage of the Disrupt Hackathon site looks like. And right here, I'm going to point out some really particular piece of information that when we launched the site for San Francisco and later for London, I want to make sure that you check these things out. So first of all, check out your prize. You'll see the prizes are listed in this beige box on the right-hand side of the site. Make sure you check that prize information, make sure it's correct. Anytime you see something on the site that doesn't look accurate, make sure you let TechCrunch and ourselves know so we can get that corrected for you. Other things that we really want you to do before the event are engage in the discussion forums. Now, the discussion forums are the place where the hackers taking part in Disrupt can ask you questions before the event. So it's a great place to actually evangelize your API and really explain to people what they can do with it and how they can be using. Tim put up one here for Nexmo, where really talked about kind of just simple, right? Here's the API key, here's the quick start guides, here are the docs. So make sure you do this before the event. Ideally, two months out, get people really excited about using your API. So good opportunity to do there. Another thing we really want you to do is check out the participants tab. The participants tab is exactly kind of how you see who is coming to the hackathon. So remember that on Devpost, developers have their portfolios. You can check out technologies they've used, previous projects they've worked on, who follows them. So make sure to go through the participants tab and get to know the audience before you walk into the event. Other things to do is make sure that we have your API and prize information. So that would be things like a short description of your API. What does it do? Why should people be using your technology? What's the prize they can win? All that information can be sent to the events team at Disrupt. Make sure that they're all kind of good to go on that information. We will launch that on the site in the run up to it. So again, please double check that, make sure that it's all right. So here's something that you may not have all seen. So this is our analytics dashboard. So I've done a pretty bad job here of covering up the name of the company involved, but our analytics dashboard enables you to see who's building what, where with your technology. So you can see across the whole of Devpost, across multiple hackathons, both online and in person, which hackers are building which projects at which events. So as we think about reporting out after Disrupt, this is a great piece of information for you to have to share within your organization about the impact of this sponsorship. So if you don't already have access to this, check, maybe someone else in your organization does. If you need access, just please email hackathons@devpost.com. Let me know your Devpost username and the name of your API. We'll make sure you're all set up. This is a completely free service, so we'll make sure that's all working for you. And as I said, you can check out both the hackers, the projects, and the events they've been building up. And you can export all that information as a CSV. So you can really kind of see everything that's going on there. So just a quick review then of things you should be doing on the site before the event. Check out who's attending, engage in the discussion forums, use them as Ask Me Anythings about your APIs. Make sure your prize and API details are on the site and that they're accurate. Let us know if there's any changes needed. And also make sure you're set up on the metrics dashboard. Let us know if you're not, we'll get that fixed up for you. So here as well as some things that you could be doing off our site in advance of Disrupt to make sure that you're really set up to have a lot of success at the hackathon. And this is the task that I think always gets pushed to the back of every evangelist task list, and this is updating your developer docs. So really make sure the documentation is up to date, reflects all the latest endpoints, any bugs, any issues, anything that might trip someone up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Make sure it's addressed there in the docs. Everyone's docs could always use a bit of a rewrite, so now is a great time to get those fixed up. And the other thing is pick the best prize, and we can talk a lot about different prizes and what incentivizes people. I think my friend Rob from Twilio says it best, where he says there's not a developer in San Francisco who wants an iPad that doesn't already have one. So think about giving away prizes that really validate what people have built, get them excited about continuing to build your API. So to give you a great practical example of this, recently I was involved in a quantified self hackathon. And the prize was a really advanced kit of biosensors that people could use to really kind of take their quantified self hacks to the next level with really amazing blood pressure monitors and heart rate monitors and EKGs. It was a really cool set. And you can imagine that a hacker that's already interested in this is going to use these technologies to really take their hacking to the next level. Definitely a fun opportunity. And also, this is a slightly meta one, but really think about the why of your pitch. And I think this comes back to what Emma was saying about the lightning round. Your job is to really, there's always lots of different options for APIs that developers can use. So think about why should they choose yours? What are the unique advantages? What does it enable them to do as developers that can't be done otherwise? So definitely encourage you to think about that. So let's move into during the hackathon. So it's past 10 a.m. on Saturday. We've kicked off. People are getting to work. And what are the things that you should be checking? So definitely a lot of stuff that's going to be going on in this. And this is the time when you really have the opportunity to get involved in the event and talk to hackers. So check the discussion forums on the Disrupt site, because there may be questions being asked in there about your API. You want to make sure that you're active in those discussions, responding to people. Someone may be typing away at their table, perhaps not coming over to your booth. Make sure that you're checking that there and using it proactively. And then another thing to do is certainly then on Sunday morning, make sure you're checking out the submissions gallery. Now, the submissions gallery is always the kind of number 1, 2, and 3 questions I get from sponsors at Disrupt events. This is where you're going to see who has built using your technology. If your API, if you're providing a sponsor prize, will be listed on the right-hand side of the site. If you select it, it will filter the projects to just the ones that used your technology. So it's exactly the way to see who you should be paying attention to in the expo and who you should be helping. So really make sure that you check this out. The projects usually go live about 15 to 20 minutes after the submission deadline. And at that point, you can go on and see everyone that's used your technology. As I said, select your sponsor prize there. It will filter down for it. So most of your time during the hackathon is going to be spent interacting with the hackers. That's what we want you to do. So let's think about what we should be doing off Devpost. And here's a few pointers for really having a lot of success at the event. So always think about the goal is to help the hackers. The goal isn't to advocate specifically for your API. You will get much better long-term conversions from helping solve someone's JavaScript problem at 2 o'clock in the morning than you will from giving out promo codes and bottle openers. So I would definitely encourage you to think of your goal there as to help people build stuff. And if they're building with your technology, that's even better. but definitely be there in a kind of help first mentality. I think that's definitely the way to get great success at hackathons. And this is another thing that's slightly a contentious topic in some ways, but I always think the objective of a booth at a hackathon is for hackers to be able to easily find you. It's not designed to be a place where you and like 8 of your colleagues can kind of camp out and create an environment that isn't very approachable. So I would encourage you to get out from behind the booth, get on the floor, start interacting with people and kind of really become part of the event. It's important to keep the booth manned so that people can find you quickly if they have a problem or a question. But you definitely want to make the booth about the hackers, not about your team. I think that's definitely a really good thing to think about. And here's my final really best tip for during the event is think a lot about when are people going to have problems using your technology? When are they going to have questions that they need to ask? And I think most of the questions are probably not going to come up before 6 p.m. on the Saturday when you're kind of ready to go and get dinner and head back to the hotel. So I would really encourage you to stay as late as you possibly can during the event. Overnighting is even better. The number of times at like 2, 3 a.m. during a Disrupt, someone's come over to me and said, well, can you help me find the evangelist from X API? That's really tough and it's really hard. And that's when you'll get people that were going to use your technology and come across something that may be a really, really simple problem that you could solve in 2 seconds. If you're not there to solve it or they can't reach you, it's really difficult. So definitely keep hacker hours as much as possible, which is going to mean late nights, but that's when all the magic happens. So definitely fun there. So obviously this is the expo, right? So the expo is really just the time to like get out there and get into the event and really kind of talk to the developers like while they're building. And especially early on, like here when everyone was milling around trying to find teams, that's definitely a time to get out there, talk to people, ask them what they're building, see if your API can be helpful to them. So we're going to move through this pretty quickly and I'm happy to take questions, but wanted to kind of think about the things that can be done post the event that's going to be really helpful to you. So the first thing is to share the projects. So go to the submissions gallery. All the information here is up and is public. So share them on your blog, share them in social channels, but also really importantly, share them internally. So share them actually back within your organization. Make sure that people know about all the awesome things that were built with your company's stack at Disrupt. It's a really exciting way to get a lot of validation for your evangelism program and also really help people understand like what's happening at these events. What are these amazing projects that are being built in just under 24 hours? So really encourage you to share those as widely as possible. Also interact with the hackers. So on a Devpost, you can both like and comment projects. You can follow the people that created, and this is Grubbery that won a lot of prizes at Disrupt in New York this May. And I totally encourage you, go on here, like, comment. The more validation and encouragement you give the developers, the more likely they are to both continue working on these projects, but also to continue using your technology in the future. So we'd really encourage you to kind of get involved and make that happen. Then obviously look at the analytics dashboard. This is a great way to really, take those stories about the hackers, show off the projects, but then add the depths of the statistics so that you can really kind of see what was built and how much interaction you got. So thinking about things to do kind of post-Disrupt that are actually off Devpost. And here's 2 really kind of good things to think about. So first thing is share the projects as widely as possible. So not just the projects that won, but also all the projects that use it. Talk to the developers, interview them, put them up on your blog, put them on your social channels. There's nothing more than developers love than exposure for their projects and their ideas and what they're working on. Even if they're not intending to build these into products or companies, just a lot of validation is really a great way to do it. And my second tip is really get the prizes out quickly. There's nothing worse than a developer winning a prize at a hackathon and then them having to wait 6 months to receive it. So really make a big effort Monday morning. If you can't give the prize out that Sunday. Make a big effort first thing Monday morning, back at the office, get that prize out to them. So I think that's really helpful stuff. So that's kind of it in terms of slides that I have, Emma. So obviously I can be reached. I'm Richard at devpost.com. I'm at Forward Media on Twitter. So please let me know if there's any questions or anything we can do to help. I'm looking forward to hacking with you all in San Francisco. And yeah, definitely happy to take questions. Let me switch back to video now. Great. So I think we've got some people viewing. I'm going to open the Q&A up here. Wondering, oh, we do have some questions. Emma, do you want me just to have a look across here? I think we have a question from Jeff that maybe you and I could both address.
Sure, that's great. I do have a colleague watching the webinar next to me, so I see that there is a slight bit of lag, so we should maybe give it a couple extra seconds. But if we, yeah, let's see if we can address that that question you've got.
Okay, cool. So I think the first question came from Jeff Taylor, and Jeff asks, what kind of outreach should sponsors be engaged in prior to the event across their own social and email channels? So I think there's probably definitely some stuff to say here about getting tickets for the hackathon, Emma. But I think in addition, what I would say is, make sure that everyone knows about the TechCrunch hackathons, right? So the TechCrunch hackathons are really big deals in the community. Lots of people are getting out and getting involved in them. So I would say make sure that people know you're a sponsor. And that's a really big thing. Make sure people know you're going to be there, you're going to be part of it, and that's an opportunity to get involved with you. I would definitely say that. And I would imagine, Emma, the tickets are going to be released in batches for hackers, is that correct?
Yes, so we release tickets in batches. If there's a sponsor that wants to bring a group of hackers, we can definitely accommodate that as well, as long as you understand that it's kind of bad form for your own people to win your own prizes. But we can get that set up if you email your salesperson through TechCrunch directly. But other than that, for the public, they come in waves, and we pretty much always sell out, and that's why we do it that way, to kind of even the playing field and let multiple waves of people come in. Awesome, that's great. And I know that Natalie mentioned, as you did, that some people are kind of having a little bit of lag on the videos. So we'll definitely have this, the video of all of this discussion up on YouTube this afternoon as well, so everyone can catch up with it later on. So I actually had a question for you, Emma, which is kind of like, thinking about the Disrupt Hackathons, like what do you think the #1 thing that sponsors could do to be successful there is? Definitely being engaging. And you touched on it a little bit about not camping out at your booth, but I totally agree. Right when the teams start arriving around noon or 12:30, getting out there and talking to people and talking to them about what you want to see and what you could do and kind of the possibilities with their API and getting people excited, that is definitely the #1 thing that you could do that would be best. Yeah, I think that's totally important, right? It's like going there to get engaged with the hackers and like really talk to them, I think. And, one thing it occurs to me that I actually should have put on the point is offer to do demo practice with people. I mean, one of the things that makes Disrupt really unique is like everyone gets on stage, everyone's got that 1 minute. So, if there's teams out there that are using your technology, like help them practice, help them nail that pitch so they get that 1 minute grade in front of the judges and on the stage. That's totally enlightened self-interest. So yeah, I would really encourage everyone to do that. Help people do the demos. I think that's a really fun thing. Yeah, that would be really cool. Awesome. So I think maybe what we should do is let's see if we have any more questions coming in. And if not, maybe we can wrap up at this stage and then we'll post the video and folks can hit us up online if they have any other questions. All right, that's looking like a negative. So maybe what we should do is wrap it up here and then we'll post the video and people can tweet at us if they have any other questions. And if not, then we'll see you all in San Francisco. Sounds good. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks, everyone, for watching.